It is a cold, rainy, dreary freaking season around here. Freaking, no wonder there's been mold everywhere, which is another biblical freaking curse that is in Deuteronomy 28, I think, and it's not only there, but mildew, blast you with mildew. And I've seen the mildew in the state all around, and there's mildew going over top of monuments and shit, which those things should be mildewed. Pray that mildew form on every evil obelisk. You know what I'm saying? In every pagan sun temple. That it may be a sign to their followers that the God of Jacob and Isaac and Abraham is the true God. And he's greater than the sun and the moon and the stars. And all these things these images that they revere here from the earth. Anyway, more of this type of a subject matter here is NASA had a patent for an artificial sun since the 50s, alright? I want to explain a possible connection here. Like the Philadelphia experiment, where dudes got semi-phased into a different dimension, alright? Philadelphia experiment. Alright, I'm sure everyone is familiar with the subject of the Bermuda Triangle, okay? I remember when I was a kid, Unsolved Mysteries, the show, there's other shows is Unsolved Mysteries. Unsolved Mysteries is a lot like you get on YouTube now. You get a mix of different mysterious stories and mysteries, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of people don't focus on only one thing out here, especially if you're into the let's solve these mysteries department. You don't have to look very far to find one. I think there's actually a between Michigan and Canada over the water, there's a mini triangle spot. Anyway, and I think Sault Ste. Marie also there's a bunch of ley lines that go right by there, I found out too. So it is a geoly charged area. See, that's what it is. The ley lines are a lot like meridians in the body. They're just basically electromagnetic meridians. So when you put it's just like a lightning rod, man. You put a lightning rod in the area, it's going to attract certain energies. Occultists try to pull down this deadly evil. I heard it's called deadly orgone energy, and that's really what they harness with this stuff. But anyway, okay, we had Fata Morgana. We got Rob Skiba talking about being able to see from Lake Michigan, Chicago, in the skyline, and they try to attribute that to a mirage effect, which is Fata Morgana, which I've never heard of. Or there's something like St. Elmo's fire. I seen a video where this dude was having electrical static go off his hands, and these people thought this was like a mystical, just fairy tale type thing at some point. But anyway, how this all relates to the Bermuda Triangle. I remember seeing many episodes where it describes specifically the events that happen in the Bermuda Triangle. And I've heard of the environment flipping upside down, and then people losing all magnetic compasses and all this stuff. Their magnetic frequency goes all out of whack. I wonder if you go inside one of the ionized clouds with an actual compass, I wonder if it will throw it off magnetically. I wonder, for instance, how do you know if there's a magnetic anomaly? Compass won't work. But anyway, they would also they would get disorientated. They wouldn't know where they were. Like the sky flipped around and was all backwards, flipped and backwards. So they've had this Niburu patent since the 1950s. So is this another form of Project Bluebeam and Illuminati cards, American Church of America, where it's got a obelisk on top of it and UFOs all around there? It's freaking crazy, this stuff right here. But really, I think, yeah, listen, what we're seeing is them putting a reflection up in the sky somehow, like a giant mirror that just copies something else, but it's really flipped and backwards. Like, there used to be these video games where they're like shooter games, like at arcade, and it had a mirror in there, and it was actually a flipped and backwards image you were shooting at, and the real image was down in the game. It was freaking weird, and it was a mirror system. Same thing with the water. When you stick a pencil in the water, you see it bend, right? That maybe it ain't a full flip and backwards, it's just a bend like that. But look, I've seen a plane fly, disappear into the middle of nowhere. I seen another dude make a video, Richie from Boston. Look, he made a video of a plane flying behind like a giant freaking mirror and it disappeared. So look, I've seen it. There's a dude named Belfast Observer. He be catching the crafts. He's the dude who fucking awakened me to the fact that, wait a second, these are crafts. This isn't just a strange Illuminati Air Cards B card, and it shows a person going, and it's making wave clouds. They look like waves. But really, there's these little Metroid freaking crafts in there. You know what I'm freaking saying? But there is a great deception about the nature of reality. What we think about things is totally backwards and flipped. It's like we don't know shit. They got PBS professors of bullshit. They run the gamut of this here. We like, really, dude. If you go by the mainstream, by the documents, by the people that you got to go through their test in order to get your credentials. They all went through the same indoctrination into a falsehood as you did. You know what I'm saying? So anyone who gets outside of it is mocked and ridiculed and blackballed and called crazy and smeared and is subjugated and isolated from any of the resources you need to prove the things that are true. Unless you just get your shit rubber stamped by the big brother in the memory hole department, you don't get to say shit about nothing. And because everything, it's not free. You're not even, like, look, the truth, you're not even free to know the truth. You're not free. You're on a need to know basis. That really means you are not free. You're on a need to know. You know what I'm saying? So we've all been fed from a need to know basis and a gatekeeper and a deceptive. Like every one of these gatekeepers points in a different direction, and as you keep working through them, you never get, because they might be thinking they're pointing you in the right direction, but look, they were taught by flawed individuals with maybe some bad traditions and some bad roots took hold in the person's understanding, and they got blockages, man. So it's like you can't trust in man to tell you the truth. You know what I'm saying? And you can only trust in God. He'll tell you the truth, but that doesn't mean he's going to tell you every single thing about everything. I mean, in time, you'll all these things will be made known to you. But look, that doesn't mean you're even free to know everything. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're going to have things revealed to you that you need to know, and that's going to set you free from pursuing the wrong things too hard. It will refine you over time. You know, it has with me anyway. And like I said, it ain't a finished work for me at this point, though it was finished at Calvary or whatever. But these things are being revealed right now. These hidden things that, like, there is something about this world that is fucking fake. It's like a matrix somehow. It's like it says walk by faith and not by sight. And even something about the hearing too is there's a trick to that too, where hearing ain't. So they worship the light. Well, what makes the light? The frequency, the sound. Well, what if they start to worship the sound and make that their idol, their you know what I'm saying? Their invisible Lucifer. Because I mean, sounds are pretty much invisible until you look at them on some kind of device. What a sound really looks like is a vibrating tuning fork, is a vibrating string. You know what I'm saying? That's like the vocal cords. This is the voice box. You know what I'm saying? But even beyond that, you know what I'm saying? The things beyond that, the molecules, the shaking of the molecules. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the freaking grasshoppers when they rub their freaking legs together. It's like they got violins built in on their legs. But anyway, that frequency harmonics component, it's just like light. You make the right kind of light, guess what? You get a microscope. You make the right kind of light, you get a laser beam. Well, if you add the right kind of sounds, or hypothetically, sound goes through your molecules. It passes through you. You know what I'm saying? So they can affect it's like in internal martial arts. You're thinking about what's on the inside, not just the surface level. So if they can turn light into a weapon, put the sunlight under a microscope, it burns you, or under a magnifying glass, it burns you. Theoretical ancient laser. You take sound, you could take a burp and put it behind a big enough, loud enough microphone, and it turns into a freaking weapon. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, if you figure out a tone that is healing, you put that behind a gentler microphone that could heal people. You know what I'm saying? Just like light, getting so much sun is good, but you get too much of it, especially with all their solar radiation modifications. And like the artificial Niburu, I think that was practiced on the U.S. soldiers by our government, on the U.S. pilots by our own government, by like NASA, Nazi, paperclip scientists. And they figured out how to project a mirror into the sky out there. You know what I'm saying? Somehow through devices, machines, technology. I'm not sure exactly how they're doing it, but because you can also see on the road mirages and shit, it's possible to do this. You know what I'm saying? Look, in nature, things like that do happen in nature. So look, theoretically, it's not hard to say you could develop it in a laboratory, and then they can figure out a way to take the components from the laboratory and make it happen in the field. I mean, this is simple math, man. It's 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. You know what I'm saying? +2 = 5. You know what I'm saying? It's a trip sometimes how easy this stuff was. Like, people like, oh, they can't control the weather. And it's like, dude, my grandpa used to tell me about in Vietnam, they would shoot freaking salts into the sky with big mortars. And he goes in a half an hour later, it would rain. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, look, that was so simple. Simply put to rest the fact that, look, they've been able to geothermal engineer and modify the weather for weather warfare purposes for many, many years. Just like this whole Niburu artificial sun. And there is going to be mass deceptions. It's also like the Bible warns, don't get all afraid by every sight that you see, because there'll be lying signs and lying wonders. Like, it's going to look like the sky's falling, but that could just be a freaking holographic projection. But at the same time, don't get so fixated on the deceptions that if you say seen something real at the same time. So you're going to have to use your freaking discernment. Just like I'm using my discernment here to figure out that, wait a second, they've already done this with the Bermuda Triangle. They figured out how to flip the sky somehow in certain little zones, and I don't know how they're doing it. Maybe this just happens naturally there, and through study of that phenomena, they reproduce it in the laboratory, then they reproduce it in the field, then they put it into applications, which means weapons testing. They see if it works, like the voice of God weapon they used in after the incubator babies in Desert Storm. You know what I'm saying? Once again, also, you got the Fatima event where they saw the Virgin Mary in the sky. This is the same time frame as where they wanted to do this to Cuba to see if it would make them stop fighting if they blasted the Virgin Mary. It wasn't Jesus, it was the Virgin Mary. And that lets you know who's behind it. It's the Catholics. And the Muslims got Fatima as well, which is it's the Black Madonna, and it's the Virgin Mary. It's the same deity. It's Isis. You know what I'm saying? And they got baby tamus. You know what I mean?